Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Gainesville meeting at the Cade Garage. Please remember to silence your cell phone, and if you're joining us via YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. And now, please welcome Pete Inlaw to the podium for our pledge and song.
So there are a lot of new members, so I'm going to tell this joke. I had a dream last night, and in my dream, I was in this sort of sauna-looking room with just boards on the walls, and there was a bench there. It was sort of steamy and smoky, and I was sitting on the bench, and I looked over there, and there was Tom Collette. He was sitting on the bench too, and Chip Emmel was on the bench, and none of us had clothes on. I was thinking, oh, this is a weird dream. And so pretty soon, this creature came in the door that was about the ugliest creature you have ever seen in your life. She had dark hair that went down her back, and she had 2 warts on each side of her nose, and she just, oh gosh. And she went over and she took Tom by the hand, and a voice came through the room, and it said, Tom Collette, for all the sins you have committed during your lifetime, you are condemned to spend eternity with this creature. And the creature grabbed Tom, and out of the room he went. So then I was sitting there with Chip, and I were sitting there wondering what was going to happen. And pretty soon another ugly creature came in, and she was worse than the first one. And so she went over and grabbed Chip by the hand, and a voice said, Chip Emmel, for all the sins you've committed, you are going to spend eternity with this creature. And she grabbed Chip, and out she went through the door. And there was just me left. And pretty soon, Jessica Simpson came through the door. And she was dressed to the hilt, and boy, she smelled good. I could feel her perfume scent all across the room. Hair was just fixed just right. And I looked and I thought, oh, wow. So the voice came through the room. She came and grabbed my hand, and a voice came through the room and said, Jessica Simpson, for all the sins you have committed, you are going to spend eternity with this creature. We're going to sing My Country 'Tis of Thee. My country 'tis of Thee, sweet land of liberty, of Thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pete. And now for our invocation, Deborah Newell.
Good afternoon, everyone. Shall we pray? Gracious Creator, breathe life into our bones of each of us and refresh us as we are beginning the Lenten season, approaching Purim, Ramadan, and prepare for the Wild Game Feast. We give thanks for the rains, promise of spring, births, birthdays, food, clothing and shelter, family and friends. We ask for strength and courage to deal with death, illness, accidents, and daily challenges. We acknowledge our shortcomings and victories, giving credit where credit is due, while looking towards new mercies each day gifted to us. Help each of us to be ambassadors of your message and the building of goodwill in our community, district, nation, and world. Show us daily how to be thoughtful and caring stewards of that which is so graciously put before us, and to cherish each opportunity and interaction. As we move through the meeting and depart, we ask for a renewed understanding of our place in the world, purpose, and how to carry it out in meaningful ways to your honor and glory. Amen.
Thank you, Deborah. You may be seated. And if you are a guest or visiting Rotarian, please remain standing. Matthew will bring the microphone around for introduction.
Oh, thank you, Bob Crane and Connie Crane. We're the guys from Iowa. Our Iowa girl did it in the first 3 minutes of the game she played. So she's the top scorer now in the women's division of all basketball everywhere, I guess.
Anybody else?
I think that may be it, Matthew.
All right, easy duty.
So welcome, Bob and Connie. And now at this time, we're going to show a brief video.
Annual Wild Game Feast hosted by the Rotary Club of Gainesville is back on March 7th. Our lead sponsors proudly present Project Youth Build as the recipient of the 2024 Feast Funds. Project Youth Build empowers young minds, offering the chance to earn a high school diploma and an education award for post-secondary dreams. Thank you to all of our sponsors who have come together to make the Wild Game Feast a success. Tickets are on sale now at rotarygainesville.org.
Following up on that announcement or that video, please join me with a warm welcome for our president, Linda Reinhardt.
Yeah, so Wild Game Feast, TV20, I believe it was TV20 that created that promo video for us, and so to get everybody excited and thank our sponsors. It's going to be a great feast this year. We've got record sponsorships so far. The site is coming together. We had a work day on Saturday. If you didn't get the email, the work day for this coming Saturday has been canceled because Project Youth Build came out and did a great job getting us ahead of the game. So there may be some additional work as we get closer to the date, but so keep an eye out if you're interested in helping with those final preparations. And obviously, we still need help on the day of the event. So please let us know if you are interested in helping out. Even if you don't let us know, if you just show up on the feast day, we will find something for you to do because there is always things to do. Also, reminder, please get your tickets. We've got great sponsor numbers, and we need to make sure we have great attendees as well. So please be sure to get your tickets. Sell. Also, another reminder, I mentioned it last week. I'll keep mentioning it. February 29th at 5:30, we're doing a 4-club multi-club social for Rotary, celebrating Rotary's birthday at First Magnitude. So I hope you will come and enjoy a beverage or just the fellowship and to get to know the members of some of the other clubs. With that, I'm going to introduce our speaker for today. Today, we have with us Johnathon Milot from the Santa Fe Teaching Zoo. Johnathon received his bachelor's degree in biology from Framingham, is that correct? Okay. Framingham State College in Framingham, Massachusetts. His first job as a zoo in the animal field was a zookeeper and research coordinator at the Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida. Johnathon moved to several prestigious zoos around the country, including Busch Gardens Zoo, Atlanta, and Chicago's Lincoln Park Zoo. Johnathon has worked as a zookeeper, trainer, educator, coach, and supervisor before joining the staff at the Santa Fe College Teaching Zoo as assistant director in 2009. And he took on the position of director in the summer of 2010, where he's led a team of dedicated professionals through 3 national accreditations. During his 15 years, Johnathon has guided the development of numerous animal habitats, including the largest and most expansive zoo in zoo history, the white-handed gibbon forest, the Florida native bird walk through aviary, and the Florida trails. Public program enhancements include adding direct giving to conservation, special behind-the-scenes tours, and sold-out events, and visitation has more than doubled in revenue, has substantially increased in his tenure. Santa Fe College Teaching Zoo is the only zoo in the country which is accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums and is located on a college campus. The program is the only one of its kind which teaches the next generation of animal care professionals all on the grounds of the working zoo. So please help me welcome Johnathon Milot.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Linda. Linda did make a enormous mistake. She told me I had a little extra time to speak, and so never tell a professor or a zoo director that they have extra time to speak. So sorry about that. Thank you for your attention and your hospitality and the fellowship here. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about the zoo and a little bit about the history, but more about where we're going. But before that, because I have extra time to speak, I'm going to tell a little story. So I did start at Busch Gardens. That was my first zookeeper position. And I did some amazing things there. I had a lot of amazing experiences. And I would work with, I started in the edge of Africa, which was lions and hyenas, baboons, hippopotamus. So some amazing experiences there. I would work with animals in a way where I could connect to them and they would help me care for themselves. So by that, I mean, I would work with an adult lion, our male lion, Max. He's about 350 pounds, fur and teeth and everything. We could move him into a sort of a dog kennel size thing. And I would feed him and the vets could take his tail out and actually draw blood from him while he was awake, not sedated, and no aggression or anything. So that's the way I learned to work with animals. But I had a really amazing experience when I was at Busch Gardens. And I was out on the sidewalk one day. We do a lot of talks to the guests. And at the edge of Africa, there was a tent. And in that tent, we had education animals. Came upon this tent one day, and I was speaking to the teacher there. There was a class there, and there were a bunch of little children, maybe 5 years old or so. And so, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not loud enough. Whoa, that's the first time I've ever heard that one. I was thinking about not even using this thing. So I was working with there were little children there. They're maybe 5 years old or so, and the teacher explained they were here on a scholarship and they got an opportunity to be here and they had never visited before, and she was really excited about it. Around that time at Busch Gardens, one of the projects they were doing is they were actually walking tigers on sort of out in the public area. They were juvenile tigers. They were smaller tigers, but they were walking with them, and I had friends who were doing this. So I hear this screech of pure joy from a child over at the tent. And so I look around, I assume the tigers are coming down the sidewalk. And I look over, and sure enough, there is not a tiger there, but in this tent, there is one single white rabbit. And these children are screeching with joy because they get to pet a rabbit, which they've never pet before or even seen in real life before. And so that was the moment when I realized what I do or what I need to do is connect children and people, but start with children, with animals and with nature. It was a very foundational experience that these children were wowed by this animal that most of us would sort of take for granted. So that's my introductory story about who I am and why I am. When we talk about the zoo, I don't know if I have a PowerPoint somewhere, maybe not. I do. Is that there now? There you are. Okay. So here's the why for the zoo. Here's our vision and here's our mission. And I start with why. I start with this is the thing that makes us who we are and what we do, and why we do what we do. So we are nurturing all learners, advancing animal well-being, and improving the world. And that's the thrust of everything we do. The mission is a little bit more of a guide for us because our students are part of this. So the students, of course, are in there. But ultimately, we are not here just for the students. We're here for everybody in the world. What are we? As mentioned earlier, we are the only zoo on a college campus that's accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. So what that means, Association of Zoos and Aquariums, they're the gold standard for accreditation. I spoke to a few of you beforehand. Some told me about San Diego Zoo being your favorite zoo, of course, some San Francisco, somebody talked about in the Northeast, you've got Philadelphia, amazing zoos, all accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. We are accredited by the same organization. We have to meet the same high standards. So do think about that. When I talk about the Santa Fe College Teaching Zoo, your community zoo, we meet the same standards as San Diego Zoo. So that makes us unique. And what we do is we do two things. We are the zoo. You can come visit us. We're open every single day of the week. We're only closed for 3 days out of the year, 4 now, but Christmas Eve, Thanksgiving, and now we have a professional development day at Santa Fe College, and we are closed on that day. We are also the Zoo Animal Technology Program. So that is the training ground for zookeepers. This program started in 1970. We started training zookeepers over 50 years ago. So we are the only one, again, of our kind that does that in an accredited zoo. So we have high standards in our zoo. The students who are training and learning how to be zookeepers, they have to meet those high standards every single day that they are there, every day that they are caring for the animals. We don't hire zookeepers. I have a professional staff. I have instructors and curators and educators, but I don't hire any zookeepers. So the students get the full experience of being a zookeeper. They're not an intern. With an intern, you tend to protect interns. If you have an aggressive bird, you say, well, you're an intern, you should stay out so you're not attacked by this bird. When the zookeepers come to me and say, hey, we got a really aggressive bird here, and I don't know if I'm comfortable going in there, we'll show you how to do that, but then you get to go in there and learn how to do it, because that's how we learn best, is we learn by doing. We do it safely, but they still have to learn. They have to learn all of it. So it's a great program. How do we do this? Lots of different ways, lots of different things that we can do here. We have, we support humans. We also support animals. Your group is right on the top of that human support. You have supported us in educating, again, children in our community. The Rotary Reading Safari has been an extremely successful program for years now. There's a day coming up. Somebody told me May. Shout it out. When's Rotary going to be at the zoo this year? March 1st. 10 to 12 o'clock. I knew I was going to forget. 10 to 12 o'clock, March 1st, come out to the zoo, and you can see the work that you have supported for years. This used to be a very extensive program where children would visit us. One school group would visit us several times throughout the semester, 6 times. We've had to scale it back. We've had to move with the times because of busing issues and just getting enough school buses and school bus drivers to transport the children. So we've had to scale it back a little bit, but we're still doing an amazing job and an amazing opportunity with that. Other things that we're doing, we are qualified, so that means that we are equipped to handle guests who are on the autism spectrum and give them the support that they need. One of the few facilities that is Culture City certified. We have discounts, we partner with UF, we partner with Santa Fe, of course. There's lots of different things that we are doing on the human side of things. Animal side of things, I could talk forever about great things we're doing from the animal side, but we are working specifically with endangered species. We are helping to breed and release species back into the wild. We actually are breeding a Guam rail. If anybody knows the story of the Guam rail, it was a once extinct species. We have them on grounds. That is, they were taken out of the wild before they were completely driven to extinction. We helped breed them, and we are releasing them back on to their neighboring islands. So again, that is happening right here in your community here in Gainesville. So we're doing a lot for conservation and for education, and in touch on education. Again, that is one of our missions, is to educate the guests, educate the community that comes here. I like to throw this stat up here because I kind of really want to talk about community today. We're all part of the same community, and how do we build trust? There's a lot on the screen. I'm not necessarily going to read it all. You can maybe read it, but just to give you a perspective about zoos, about what zoos are and what zoos mean and who we are. So you can see about trust. So this stat up here, this first one about trust as an institution of trust. The number one institution that the public trusts is the military, and zoos and museums come in just under military. So a very trustworthy operation. And that goes across the country, and that is accredited zoos. So those are the ones with those high standards again. And the stat underneath it is higher education is, again, a little bit lower, 53. It might even be a little bit lower now. I was speaking to Dr. Brody one time, and I gave him this stat, and I said, do you know what this means? Do you understand what this means? The college only has a 53% trust rating from the public, but the zoo has much higher than that. So just by having a zoo on grounds on the college campus, that means my trust is being eroded by the college. He appreciated it. Actually, I appreciate him. But absolutely, there's a partnership there, and there is an ability for us to work together, and that's my job. My job is we want to bring guests in, we want to bring children in, I want to educate children, but I want them educated on grounds at Santa Fe College, because then you instill upon them a college-going culture. You instill that college-going culture in little children, then that turns into teenagers who want to go to college, and then adults who have been to college and are educated, and then continue to contribute to the community. So it's a circular wheel. The next one on there, just briefly want to show this stat: AZA accredited zoos, more attendance at all the AZA zoos than all of the major league sports combined. So think about that. All the baseball games, all the hockey, all of them, there are more people that attend zoos. The number one reason to attend a zoo: spend time with family. Number one reason across the board, any zoo you survey, anybody. So again, we are a community entity that brings people together. Number two is to be outside and or experience nature. Somewhere on the list is learn, education. That's fine. You're going to learn while you're there because we're going to sneak it in. But that people come to us to be with their families and to be outside. I will take that any day of the week because my next stat is not up here. The one I don't like to share, but unfortunately I do have to. So middle school children right now, you know some middle school children, you've met them. They are now spending, on average, 45 minutes a week outside. A week, 45 minutes. That is a horrific statistic. And so again, they come to the zoo, we're forcing them to be outside. We don't have any buildings, so it's all good. We're going to force you to be outside. But again, we're forcing you to connect to nature. You are going to be better if you connect to nature. There's statistics all over the place about people connected to nature. Health is improved. Well-being is improved for people. So we can help do that. There's a little bit about favorability there as well, that how favorable we are, again, compared to even your favorite now, the most popular sporting event, NFL. And that's even pre-Super Bowl and all the Taylor Swift stuff. So, I mean, you can only imagine what it is now. Who knows? Who can really tell? So I'm just sort of demonstrating where we sit in the community and what the value of the zoo is within our community and within every community. Speaking of which, attendance, here it is. Early on, we were in the 30s. Now we're close to 70s. Oops, I had a graph at one point. Oh yeah, there it is, up in the future. So we're looking at 130,000 is what we're projecting for our attendance. So again, we are driving guests. We are driving tourism. We work with the Hospitality Council in town. We work with Visit Gainesville, which is the tourism arm. We are helping to drive tourism into this town, which is, again, helpful for everybody who's here. I wanted to throw these up here. We just finished strategic planning. It's maybe a little too deep for some of you, but what we do is we want to share our plans. I want to explain to you, this is what we're going to do strategically. This is what the zoo is about, and this is who we are going to be. We're going to be a zoological leader. That's our first one. Again, we're looking at global learning. We're looking at learning, and that doesn't specifically say our students. That means everybody. We're going to be the crown jewel, not just of Santa Fe College, but of Gainesville. So we are going to be an attraction that people are going to talk about and people are going to come visit. Not to call anybody out. Who has been to the zoo before? Show of hands. Oh, most of you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And so what we want is we want more of that, but we're going to find a way to feature ourselves and be the facility, be the place, be the attraction that people talk about and say, you have to go here, right? The last one is managing our resources, and that's all of our resources. That's everything that we touch, and we want to manage that in a sustainable way because it's good for everybody. It's good business, it's good for revenues, and it's good for the environment. So this is where we are. Here's a selection of our actual objectives. This is just some of them, but I just wanted to point out, and again, I apologize, the font got a little bit smaller than I expected because I tried to cram in too much. But some of this stuff, I put this here so you understand what are we trying to do. And I put this here for you to think about how can you get involved. We've been a great partner for a long time. We've partnered on the Rotary Reading Safari for a long time. But how can you get involved more? What else strikes you? What else interests you? And again, this is the width and the breadth of not just the students that we work with and not just the education programs and the college. And again, this is just a selection. After our strategic planning, we had 16 great strategies that we'll be working on the next 3 years. It's a 3-year plan. I saw CHW up there as one of your sponsors, working with CHW to do our master planning right now. So they're going to tie into some of the things I'm going to talk about in just 1 second. And they're a great partner. Walker as well. They're great partners for us in all of that. This is what we're going to do. So how am I going to do this? How am I going to get you talking about the zoo and actually wanting to bring people there and saying, this is the place you have to go? We're going to build tree houses in the zoo. So we're going to convert some of the areas. We are fairly landlocked, which is fine. I actually don't want to grow too much. It's too, the more area, the more you have to manage. So we're fairly landlocked. It actually is going to work for us because we're going to go up. We're going to build up into some of the trees and for some of the habitats. So we'll have treehouse viewing in the zoo. So it will not overlay on the current paths. It'll take you different paths if you go up into our sort of treehouse walkway. We will design tree houses that may be indoor-outdoor usage. So that is, we have education classes there. We could have small meetings there. We could do a lot of different things. It's definitely going to be a wow factor, and it's something that we are looking forward to. The first phase, we are in the middle of fundraising for the first phase right now, and call it the heart of the zoo. So the heart of the zoo, if you haven't been, there is a playground sort of right in the middle of the zoo. We're going to take that area and what was the old gibbon, which had a big balin cage. So if anybody's from Midwest Iowa, the balin cages that hold your corn, we use them for a different purpose. So we'll take all that down and we're going to build an extensive playhouse area, playground area that is all tied in with tree houses as well. It will be driven by sort of a self-guided play. There will be elements there that we'll design. There'll be elements that we will put together, but we're looking for a lot of self-guided and 50% accessible. So that's the sort of floor we're setting for ourselves. We're hoping to do more than that. But as you can see right off the bat, we'll do a ramp that extends up and gets anybody who wants to get up into the trees, up into the trees. So this is our first phase. What we're doing is we are asking the children here in Alachua County, Bradford County, to design the treehouse for themselves. They're going to be using it. They're going to be the ones playing on it. So we want them to design, what are the elements you want to play with? What do you want to be involved in? So we have this campaign going on right now. We're asking them to design, and we will feature some of their designs later on in the month when we have our Party for the Planet, our Earth Day celebration. We'll feature some of their designs and start talking about how we're going to incorporate those designs. So we're starting to design right now. We're working with a couple different firms at this point, fundraising right now, looking for sponsors and looking for interested parties. What I'm looking for is what would actually connect to you, what's actually going to connect to the community, and what does the community want to see. This is how we create a successful facility. Phase 2 is then we take that jumping off point and then we wind through the zoo with other treehouse options and treehouse viewing areas. So again, like I talked about, enclosed classroom spaces, viewing of places you can't see now, some behind the scenes, animals that you can't see right now, bringing that all together with this really extensive plan. And then somewhere we want a meeting space, an education building where we can bring meetings, we can bring smaller, medium-sized conferences. It'll house our what we call ambassador animals, so the animals that go off grounds and meet and greet you in your places of work, in your schools. We want them featured there in this building. Then you'll be able to see them all the time, whether they're out or about or whether they're just hanging out in their houses. So some of the things we're kind of looking at, this will tie into the tree houses as well, and we're just right now designing where the location on grounds will be. So lots of really great plans, really interesting ideas, but ultimately looking to see, what does the community think? What does the community want? That's what I'm all about. Again, what will this do? Increase tourism, trust in the community, community connections, and it's always good to invest in the zoo. So that's the main pitch, but if I'm going to actually do a pitch, I have to give something really cute and give you something that I haven't given anybody else. So I figured on the next slide, you'd be able to see some of the newest additions to the zoo right there. These are 3 baby otters that you were looking at. They were born Christmas Day. And we're starting to develop a naming contest. So maybe there's some interesting names out there. So I don't know, we just passed Valentine's Day. I got my wife a husky puppy for Valentine's Day. If you forgot to get your partner something, perhaps you want to name an honor for them. Um, it's actually a better deal because I still have to clean up after the puppy and take the puppy on walks and all that. You don't have to do that with the honors. They're not coming to your house. You don't actually have to care for them. You just get to say, look what I did for you. This is how much I enjoy our relationship. So absolutely. So if and I'm serious, and they, if you're interested in working with me on names on for them, I would love to chat with you after this. And this is brand new. Bob, I said Bob. I mean, that's fine. I mean, my dad is Bob. My older brother was Bob. It's a great name, but for an honor, I mean, oh, Roberto, very very good, very good. And then Pete. The names are just, I mean, Christmas Day, 3 honors, and we got Pete and Bob. No, that's great. Never disparage anybody's naming. So we have lots of ways to get involved and work together, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. So I think, yeah, that's it. That's my thank you. That's my chat, and I think I left some time. Yes, I even left some time for questions. Anybody have questions for me?
We have a few off of Zoom while we're getting the microphone
Oh,
distributed
fantastic.
throughout the building.
My friends playing at home, I appreciate you.
The first one is, what is the most dangerous animal that you have to deal with at the zoo?
So the most dangerous animal at this zoo is, so I will caveat this with, again, the students are the zookeepers and they have no experience. They come to us with 0 experience and they work with us for 5 semesters. So at the most they have about 2 years of experience. So I intentionally do not have very, very dangerous animals.
Yeah, like 3.
However, we have venomous snakes at the zoo. So if you do make a mistake with a venomous snake, that is going to be a problem and really tough to say over and over again. Don't make a mistake with a venomous snake. Don't make a venomous snake. So whenever a student works directly with a venomous snake, and an instructor is directly next to them at all times, because that one is fatal. We have adult alligators. If you've ever been, we have an alligator that's 11 feet long. That's Brutus, and his friend is Rainbow. She's about 6 feet long, 5.5 feet long. So they're very dangerous too. But same, we go in there with those animals. So the animals that the students work directly with, without direct supervision at all times, is actually probably a Visayan warty pig, which is, if you saw them, you might think warthog, and you've got some similarities there. They have very large tusks that protrude from their mouth, and they can be they can move quick, and they can be challenging to work with sometimes.
And a corollary of that question by Carlos is, what is your highest maintenance animal at the zoo, and have any zoo animals escaped?
Highest maintenance animal depends on how you look at it. The tree kangaroos require special diets that are what we call browse. So a lot of the animals will eat fruits and vegetables. The tree kangaroos require plant material that's from a bush or a tree. So think about like Iliagnus or a bamboo even they will eat. And that's fine most of the year, but in the winter time that gets a little more challenging. It does die back here. So feeding them in the wintertime is a little bit more of a challenge. And what was the follow-up? I'm sorry.
And have you had any escapes?
Oh, escapes. Yes, we've had escapes. We have students that work with us. So yes, we have had escapes. Not many, though, not recently. The last one, I think major one that what I remember was an ocelot. An ocelot's a cat about this big. They stand about that tall. Spotted cats, beautiful. And student just didn't secure a door correctly, and it just walked out, and it just walked around its habitat, and then just walked right back in.
Wow.
And so it was all good. Yeah, I know what the food is.
Carlos also asks, he's full of questions today.
Excellent.
How many acres does the President Zoo cover, and how much additional acreage is available?
So we have 10 acres total. We have about 8 acres-ish developed. We have some space in front of the zoo at this point, and some to the back side of the zoo. So we do have some spaces to build, but as I said, we're going to try to get creative and build up instead of out. So yeah, we definitely have a little bit of expansion.
I just want to brag about you.
Okay.
When I was on the city commission, I became friends with the city manager of Cincinnati.
Uh-huh.
He left that position and he became the director of the Philadelphia Zoo. And he called me and said, Jean, give me every graduate you can give from the Santa Fe Zoo.
Nice. I appreciate that. It's amazing. So I didn't put anything in here about our graduates and where they go, but we are upwards of 42 states, and they are also international. So we have students that are in Australia, Papua New Guinea, England, Africa. So the students have gone international, and they span any sort of zoo or animal field you can consider. They are working in that. But I appreciate the shout out. Thank you very much. We are well known and well recognized within our industry, which is great. We would love to again have more partnerships right here in our city of Gainesville. Any other? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Do you have any plans for larger animals like lions and tigers and bears and maybe Florida panther or something like that?
I do not have plans for those animals because, and I've worked with tigers and I've worked with lions, and you can do it in a safe way. The problem is if you make a mistake, it will be the last mistake that you ever make. And if it is a student that makes that mistake, then I got to call somebody's parents and tell them they're not coming home, and I don't want to do that. If they make that mistake with the ocelot, again, what happens? The ocelot walks around. Worst case, the ocelot gets feisty, it gives you some scratches, and you're okay. And you learn the same techniques. We teach the students how to work with the cats that we have, which again, a caracal is a small cat as well, about this big, this tall, but they're amazing. They can jump 10 feet in the air from a sitting position. And they're incredible animals. And so we can talk about those animals, and we can teach students to work with those animals, those dangerous animals, in the same safe way that I worked with lions and tigers. And I have all my fingers and all my toes and all my arms and my eyes. And so you can do it safely. It just is harder when you have zero experience. And again, the point is what we're looking for. And people say, well, we want to see lions and we want to see tigers. We're working at creating some of these experiences, these immersive experiences, to get you involved with the animals that we have here in a way that you will be impressed by who they are and what they can do and what they can accomplish. And that's the point, is we should be able to tell the story of any of the animals we have, regardless of size and ferocity, in a way that's impactful for you. And that's what we'll be looking to do.
To show to the public.
Do I film that we show to the public about what we do? We have worked on some of that. The challenge is actually finding equipment, because we actually don't have indoor spaces at this point. We're working towards that with this master plan, finding equipment that that IT will allow us to put outside and that will maintain itself. So I have film. We just don't have great places to show it. But that is what one of the ways we want to move to as well, is how do we share these experiences regardless of what's happening? We have this endangered beach mouse that we work with. Cutest thing you've ever seen. This small, really big ears. They're nocturnal. We have them at the zoo. They're nocturnal. You're never going to see them, but we do amazing conservation work with them. Why are mice important? Why are beach mice important? Well, if you live on the panhandle and you have beach mice in the dunes, they build up the dunes and secure the dunes so that when hurricanes come by, they don't do as much damage to the human areas that are behind them. The studies are clear. If the dunes are gone, if the dunes are wiped away and not maintained, the damage to the human areas behind them is extensive. And again, we help maintain and propagate and release those animals back into the wild to maintain those dunes. But you have to see them and see how cute they are to really embrace that story. And I need the video to show you that, because if you go by, you're going to see an empty sand lot and not be impressed.
You mentioned the treehouse structures you're building and the above ground viewing. Any thought given to underground structures or viewing?
We thought about it, and we had suggestions for that, especially for otters. So then those cute baby otters, they need a new habitat. So again, if that tickles your fancy, they need a new habitat. And we talked about that for them. It's harder because with Florida and rains and underground, you get a lot of washout. You have to have extensive flood control if you're going to do that sort of stuff. Whereas if we go up, and if we use the right materials when we go up, it'll be easier to maintain.
How many students do you have in your program, and how many come in each year?
Great question. So we have 60 that start every other semester. So we're an odd program because it's a 5-semester program, and you lay that over a 3-semester year, and it doesn't line up. So I started a class in this spring, and I will start another class in the fall, and that's 60 per class. Generally, we have anywhere between 70 and 110, depending on when the classes fall. And again, and so when they graduate, you have an 85% placement rate for the graduates, which is an extremely good placement rate for any program.
I had a quick question regarding driving down I-75 and seeing vultures. Thousands of vultures one time, and I'm just curious as to, is that something that happens several times a year, or is it something if an animal dies, or what?
It's several. So there is a migratory. There are some vultures that stay, and there's some that migrate through. And so when you see those large groups, and that's more of a migration population, we do a really good job of maintaining and controlling what we have on grounds. That is, when we have waste, we contain it very well. We have food waste and fecal waste, we contain it very well. So there's some draw there because we do have some open air habitats where they can fly into, and they could eat some of the stuff. But again, we don't leave dead animals on the grounds. The animals that are eating meat, we're feeding them the meat, and then it goes away, and then we clean up anything that they don't eat. So they're not really attracted to that stuff per se. There's a little bit there, but they do like the area, and they really like some of those taller buildings on Santa Fe's campus, actually. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a tricky problem for some of the areas on the grounds, not so much with us, but sometimes. Yep. But good observation. Great questions. I love the expanse of the questions.
Kind of a funny question to steal an idea from Jurassic World.
Oh yeah.
Would you accept a donation to name one of your animals?
Yeah, absolutely. I got 3 otters that if you wanna name them, I'll accept a donation to name those. I got some other ones that I can name as well. But I really appreciate your time. Appreciate your attention. I'll hang out for a little while if you want to chat. But thank you. Anything you need, please reach out.
Thank you, Jonathan. And in recognition for you speaking today, we are going to make a donation in your name to the Bread of the Mighty Food Bank.
This is great. Thank you.
Okay, so next week, our speaker is going to be Pablo Casalimas, who will be talking with us about tech and venture industry in Gainesville. So come join us next week for that. Quote of the day in recognition of our partnership with the Rotary Reading Safari. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. And that's Albert Einstein. And the drawing number, the Rotary Reading Safari drawing number today is 721. 721. With that, meeting is adjourned.